So, hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and I'm just here in this lovely rocky area that's not too far from the from the monastery. And a kind of grass fire actually came through here maybe last week, and as a result this area is now accessible. Before there was quite a lot of grass around here, so it was hard to get to these rocks, but now is much easier. So I just thought to record a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. So I thought that maybe could start with some meditation. So can lean forward and arch our spine and look about 3 feet in front and close the eyes. And can focus in on the breath. Can know when it's coming in and know when it's going out. If one breathes in a long breath, can just know I'm breathing in a long breath. And if one breathes in a short breath, can just know I'm breathing in a short breath. And can focus in on the breath at the tip of the nose. And if notice any patterns of tension or tightness around the nose, around the face, can just let those relax. And can practice breathing in and out from this area at the tip of the nose. And when breathing in and out from the tip of the nose, can try to make mindfulness as continuous as possible. Being aware all the way through the in-breath. As the in-breath turns to the out-breath, all the way through the out-breath, and as the out-breath turns back to the in-breath again. Trying to keep mindfulness as continuous as possible. And before we finish meditating, can spread thoughts of goodwill, wishing may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary for being happy and at ease. And we can make our mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond. In every dimension, may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. We can open our eyes and do a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. So hope that everybody is having a great day, wherever it might be. And yeah, it's been very nice to come out to this rocky area. Always nice to see the rocks and get access to, there's a new place that one can walk, which is nice. And so yeah, I was asked by Visita from the Buddhist Embassy a question. He said, what are the challenges about being a forest monk in modern society? For example, not using money, use of the internet, and these different things. And so for monks in modern society, as well as ancient society for Buddhist monks, their lives are regulated by a code of conduct which is called the Vinaya. And the Vinaya is basically was laid down by the Buddha in response to a series of different events that happen. When some event happened that required a new rule, he would lay down a rule. And the amazing thing about these rules, it might be because they were laid down in response to kind of practical matters, like practical situations, rather than having like a legal philosophy starting from a first principle and going down, is that basically all of them almost all of them are applicable today. There's one about fully ordained Khattiya kings and kind of going into a room when there's a queen there and no king. But so that wouldn't likely come up these days. But the principle behind that rule is still good. Kind of be careful when one is in high places. But in any event, the amazing thing about the way that the Buddha laid these rules down is that they're still applicable. And it's probably, maybe the only legal code or one of the only legal codes that basically is 2,500 years old and still being followed in its original form. Almost in countries like Sri Lanka, you can follow everything, absolutely, even today. So as far as kind of the modern world and changes to the monastic code or adaptations to the monastic code, because a lot of the rules, like the rule around money, there's a rule against handling money or accepting money. There's a rule against making exchanges. There's a rule against engaging in currency speculation, like trading like American dollars for Canadian dollars, this kind of thing, to try to take advantage of higher or lower exchange rates. And there's many other rules dealing with food. So I mean, food is basically the same. There's rules dealing with relationships with the opposite sex, and all that's the same. And all these rules, the way that they get broken or not, is basically the same everywhere. So, for example, the rule around accepting money, nowadays there's many different forms of money. As kind of you have more than there was before. The way that rule gets laid down, again, you can see the genius of the Buddha and Venerable Upali, who was probably the one who help codify the rules. In that, the way that the rule's down is basically says, that rule covers anything that counts as money. So generally what money is considered in that rule is basically to be something that's generally recognizable standard value. That this isn't from the Vibhanga, but this is the kind of, it might be from the commentary, but it's a good kind of definition for what counts as money. Anything that's like a standard recognized value, and it's generally accepted. So for example, like one could have a bus ticket, but that wouldn't count as money because you can only use it for the bus. You can't necessarily say, go take that bus ticket, it being a standard value, and go exchange it for like chocolate bars at the store. You might be able to if that fellow wanted a bus ticket, but that's generally the way it's seen to be. So for that reason, one can still take all the different ways that one has currency in these days. Basically, you can have credit cards, you can have debit cards, you can have all these different things, and apply that standard. Is it something that you can basically use anywhere? Does it have a standard recognized value? And kind of, it's also even more like currency if anybody can use it. So I mean, debit cards, credit cards, you can't do that. But in any event, if basically it can be used anywhere and it has a standard recognized value, it counts as money. So all the different forms that money has taken over the centuries, over the millennia, they basically come under that. You can still tell today what is money and what isn't. So when applying that, for example, like I was living in Toronto for a while, and they have these new cards that you can basically use on any transit system to get on and off the bus. But because you can only use that on the bus, it wouldn't count as money. So you still have these kind of very clear lines that allow one to take use of new technologies, of new means of interacting, in line with the way that the Buddha laid these things down 2,500 years ago. And it's because of the way he laid them down. So another one that might come up quite a lot of things around like entertainment. So the Buddha would lay down a rule about like going to see singing and dancing. So whatever, ways that movies take shape now through the internet, through maybe holograms in the future, through these different kind of things. Basically, if one is going there to watch like a show, there's also another portion in the Vinaya where the monks go and see these kind of, they go see like a mountaintop festival, I think it was, kind of, that's where the singing and dancing comes from. And but there's also one portion where monks go to legend recitations, I think. So that would kind of be like fictional stories. So you can still see these kind of principles extrapolated into the future. So if you, for example, have an internet, you have a phone, whatever kind of new means there are of using technologies, if you use it in a way that breaks the rule, then that wouldn't be allowable. But if you use it in a way that's for the rule, then that would be allowable. So for example, if you have a phone or you have a computer and you use it to read a Dhamma book in terms of the way that the Buddha laid down the Vinaya, and you can see these different cases, almost certainly that would be allowable. And so it doesn't tend to be, when one is learning to adapt one's life as a forest monk, it doesn't tend to be the type of thing that one looks at the technology itself or looks at the change itself and sees the change as either something positive or negative. Although there may be, of course, elements to that are positive or negative. But in terms of one's life as a monk, one looks at it and sees, how does this apply to the rules that there are? And so if it's a phone, you can use it to watch watch a Dhamma talk. You can't use it to watch a movie. And if it's a phone, you can use it to talk to, a friend or, lay supporter, but you couldn't use it for, say these kind of, if a monk was trying to talk to a woman or something like that with bad intentions, there's many rules that prevent that. So the means by which people are doing these kind of things are different, but the things that people are up to are the same. And the Vinaya rules that guide the life of a monk are laid down in such a way that the defilements they're meant to prevent, they're also the same. I mean, monks would still be looking, some monks might still have those kind of things, but those defilements wanting to be acting on them. So basically these rules are meant to prevent that. So as long as one is using new technologies, using the internet, using whatever it might be in a way that doesn't violate them, then it's fine. So this is the genius of the Buddha. This is the genius of his teachings, is that they're applicable. 2,500 years ago, they were laid down, and they're still applicable today. There's still something that's relevant today. There's still something that's easy to apply today. So as far as adapting as a forest monk in the modern world, this is basically the way that one would do it, just to see if it breaks the Vinaya or not. If it breaks the Vinaya, then one can't do it, whatever the means of technology or different, new ways of doing things are. If it doesn't break the Vinaya, then one can, whatever, new means of technology there are. There are some rare cases where one has to, where basically one might die if one followed the rule as strictly as it was laid down. So, for example, there's a rule about monks not using multi-layered. You can only use multi-soled footwear, but you can't have footwear with heel coverings and these kind of things. So more or less, if you went to Canada, which is where I'm from, in the winter, Canada is almost 6 months of very cold weather. And if you tried to do that there, then maybe after 1 year, one wouldn't have any feet. So, but one can extrapolate from that particular rule in the sense that the Buddha allowed multi-soled footwear outside of the middle Ganges Valley because it was rocky. And he even built into the Vinaya this thing called the Great Standards, where basically if there's a situation that isn't covered, that he didn't specifically lay down a rule about, then one can do something if it's in line with what's allowable. One can't do something if it's not in line with what's allowable. So in this way, we still have these kind of, the Buddha laid into the Vinaya the ability to extrapolate for completely new situations. So like the winter in Canada. But situations that he already covered, monks don't have the authority to override the rules that he laid down in that way. So adapting in this way as a forest monk in the modern world isn't something that's necessarily that one necessarily has to invent a whole lot of new things for. It's all been laid down by the Buddha and his disciples, such as Upali, Venerable Upali, who helped codify the Vinaya, most likely. And it was laid down in such a way that it's clear, and it's something that one can extrapolate and apply even to the modern age for all the new forms of technology that come up, all the new ways that one might engage in exchange, one might get money, or all these different ways that one might find oneself using new tools. These things are still things that one can use the Vinaya to understand, and one can follow this ancient code even 2,500 years after it was laid down, today in the 21st century. Okay, so leave that for reflection, and hope that everybody has a great day, and wishing you all the best till next time.